adapt and respond. If this is your first time watching the show, please, thank you. Please and thank you for joining us here. If you like the show, consider, subscribing to the channel, join the community, answer the question in the comments below. It's real quick, real short. Do you think that Tennessee can get its first win against Georgia since 2016? Tennessee fans probably feel some kind of way about this one. I'm sure Georgia fans do as well. Both these teams took bye games, and we'll talk about the pay guarantees here a little bit later on, because I think that we really do need to get rid of this part of college football. But Tennessee and Georgia have become a budding rivalry of sorts. It's not as big as the third Saturday in October when Tennessee and Alabama play, because that's what they've always done. But Georgia, Tennessee, for those of you that are new to this, have been playing football against each other since 1899. But it's only since the expansion of the SEC and the inclusion of the championship game in 1990 that we've seen Tennessee and Georgia play each other pretty regularly. And they've been pretty cool spots on the resumes for both of them. 2022, we thought it was going to be the year for which we get to see Tennessee finally get back over this hurdle and get past Georgia, make their way to the SEC championship game with Hendon Hooker. It didn't go that way, right? Last year, it wasn't great either. This year, it feels like with Georgia coming to Tennessee and with 19 redshirt freshmen on that Georgia roster, a new quarterback at starter who has never seen kneeling when it is live, you got an opportunity here. And I think a lot of this has to do with Joey Aguilar. Did I think that Joey Aguilar was going to be a one-to-one for Nico Iamaleava? Yes, I did. Did I think it was going to be better than Nico Iamaleava? I couldn't tell you that for sure, man. But after what we've seen the last 2 weeks, I feel really good about what Joey Aguilar is capable of doing against this Georgia defense. Threw for 288 against East Tennessee State, which is quarterbacked by Cade McNamara. Bet you forgot Cade McNamara was still playing college football. Bet you forgot that he was even at East Tennessee State. But they put up 72 on East Tennessee State in a game where they paid him a lot of money. Georgia put up 28 on Austin Peay in a game where they paid him a lot of money. Georgia rushed for 4 touchdowns in that game. First time that they rushed 4 touchdowns in a game since 2023. But with 2 new starters at quarterback, we're going to be looking at the defenses, right? I think this defense has the capability to be as good or better than last year's Tennessee defense. That said, I'm not sure that they're as talented in the running back room, although they're deep, right? Star Thomas is good, right? Peyton Lewis is great. Deshaun Bishop, I love. Can you run on that Georgia front seven? If you can run on that Georgia front seven, it feels like you could go get a W here. The offensive line is much better than I thought it was going to be. And I still think that Mike Matthews and Chris Brazzell aren't necessarily getting the love that they should be. But today they both had 100 yards receiving. If both those guys can get out in routes and they can beat up on that Georgia defensive back group, you got a real shot here. What Kirby Smart's going to be up against, I think, is Gunnar Stockton trying to do too much, or Mike Bobo not letting him do enough. You know Tim Banks is coming after him. You know this. You have to. Because anytime you get a first-time starter at Georgia, you have to take advantage of it, because you have to immediately go, is that the weak part of this Georgia football team? Because you know what the defense is going to be. You know what Kirby Smart basically running that defense, Will Muschamp calling it, that they're going to be stout up front, that they're going to come downhill, that they're always going to have a guy or 3 or 8 that can make life difficult for you. But knowing what the crowd is going to be like and knowing how lathered up Vols fans are going to be for this game, I genuinely believe this is a pick 'em right now. Like I'm not ready to say that Georgia's got an edge. I'm certainly not ready to say that Tennessee's got an edge. However, is it going to come down to a Hail Mary from Josh Dobbs to Juwan Jennings like it did 2016? No, it'll be over before that. I think for Tennessee, you want to control the ball. You want to run the ball. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but when Tennessee rushes for $185 or more, they're unstoppable. That's it. You got to get started, run the ball. However that looks, Joey Aguilar gives you actually a little bit more wiggle in the pocket than Nico Iamaleava does, and he's better at recognizing the fronts in front of him, which means you could put more men out in routes, something you couldn't do last year. Tennessee was running out of max protect all too much in 2024. I think with Joey Aguilar, you're going to have more men out in routes, and you're going to give your running backs a cleaner picture with more wide receivers for them to cover. If you can lighten the box to 6, you got a shot to go be something special against that Georgia front. Now, is this going to define the SEC and its race? I think we're headed that way. You know, what I've seen from LSU is that they're good. Are they unstoppable? No. What I've seen from Oklahoma is that they're good. What I've seen from Texas is that they're good. Mississippi State jumped up and got a win against Arizona State today. Not Auburn beat Baylor. Baylor beat SMU. It's going to be a tough league, but right now there doesn't seem to be a clear favorite to win the conference championship. Hell, Florida took a loss to South Florida. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. I am excited for what this game can mean. I understand why game day is going there. I understand why we are having a conversation now about how many teams the SEC has got to get into the college football playoff, because right now it feels like it's them in the Big Ten, but I could just as easily see 4 teams making it. The loser of this game still has a pretty damn good way to make the playoff because we got this strength of metric thing coming in. And Greg's saying he's very excited about it. And I think it's going to help the SEC tremendously to get that 4-team in, unlike last year. As we get closer and closer to the game and we figure out just who's available and how banged up they are or aren't, I mean, Georgia played without a couple of offensive linemen today, we're going to get a cleaner picture on what is expected here. I think we're also going to find out just what Joey Aguilar is made of as well. Like I made this statement about Gunnar Stockton. We knew that the dude could play when he came in late against Texas, got them the win. We knew the dude had moxie against Notre Dame, but he wasn't yet mature enough to understand what he was seeing from a defensive front from a top 5 program. Can Tennessee do the same to him? And is Joey Aguilar going to be intimidated by a Georgia defense that has basically its own aura about it? It's like Alabama when Nick Saban was there. You already expect it to be great. You already expect it to be intimidating. Is he going to outplay himself in that game? That is going to be the thing for me to watch in this one. If Joey Aguilar continues to play the kind of football he played against Syracuse, played against East Tennessee State, they'll win the football game. But that's a big if. I could just as easily see him going for 150 on 17 of 38 with 2 picks and a TD and a loss. But I think we're going to watch his body language and how he plays early, like we did John Mateer and Bryce Underwood tonight, to see what we think is going to happen later in the game. Again, getting in his head, finding out how he figures to make this thing happen is going to be fun. He's a veteran. He's shown some of that already in some really tight circumstances. He's also shown that he's kind of got to go put up a pass to nobody in particular, and those guys will go get it for him. Can you do that against Georgia? I don't think so, not in win, but I'm going to be very excited to watch it. Let's find out which quarterback has the goods in that game. Gunnar Stockton, Joey Aguilar. I know it's next week, but I'm already lathered up and ready to go for it. When we come back, let's do one of everybody's favorite segment. Let's talk about who put the money in the bag.